Okay, we're up to Daf Tzadik Hey Amid Beis. We're beginning a new parak yesterday, parak Hamaitzi Tefillin. We found a machlokes between the Tanna Kama and Rabbi Gamliel, whether if a person goes ahead and finds tefillin, what do you do? So Tanna Kama said you wear it normally. You put a shel yad on, a shel rosh, and you bring it and you make as many trips as you have to bring them all to a place where it won't be in a makom b'zayon. Rabbi Gamliel said you can wear two at a time. You could wear two at a time. And we had a question: how can you wear? It's not the right spot. So Shmuel Bar Yitzchak said that in fact that you have room on your head and your arm for two places for tefillin. So a suggestion: the Gemara is going to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 suggestions as the Sfaras HaMachlokas between the Tanna Kama who says one pair and the Gamliel says two pairs. So apparently it would be very nice to say the Machlokas is between. The Tanna Kama holds like he holds like. He also goes Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. That tefillin, there is no room for two pairs. No, he does not hold like Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. There's no room for two pairs, therefore you have to wear one. Whereas Gamliel holds like Shmuel Bar Yitzchak, and therefore, in fact, you could go ahead and wear two. That's one opinion. The Gemara says no. It could be they both agree. Both the Tanna Kama and Gamliel agree with Shmuel Bar Yitzchak that there's room for two. So what's the machlokes? The machlokes whether it's Shabbos is the zman tefillin or not. Whether Shabbos is a mitzvah seseh shazman grama or not a mitzvah seseh shazman grama. According to this opinion, Shabbos, the Tanna Kama would hold, Shabbos is not a mitzvah seseh shazman grama, and therefore Shabbos is the zman of tefillin, and therefore if you'd wear two pairs, you would be over on Bal Tosef. So yes, Shabbos is zman tefillin. The reason you can only wear one pair is because if you put a second pair, you'd be over on the issur of Bal Tosef adding on. Versus Rabbi Gamliel who says no. Shabbos is lav zman tefillin hu. So if it's not zman tefillin hu, l'chayra, it's not what? It's not, there's no Bal Tosef. Why two pairs dafka in the spot is because in order to be a tachshit instead of a masli, in order to be something that Lydian Haitzah, you can only wear something that's a tachshit, not a masli, literally a load. It has to be roy to be called a tachshit. So b'makam tefillin, according to Shmuel Bar Yitzchak, everyone holds like Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. The Rabbi Gamliel holds that you have room for two and not more. Therefore, you're limited to two and not more, because more than two, the third one would be a masli, be a tachshit. A third opinion is that everyone holds that Shabbos is zman tefillin. Everyone holds that Shabbos is zman tefillin. Everyone holds that way. And the machlokes is whether mitzvah strichas kavana or not. Whether mitzvah strichas kavana. Says the Tanna Kama, the mitzvahs don't need kavana. So even when you put it on to carry it from the field, the makom b'zayin, into the city, you will go ahead and you won't be performing a mitzvah. But who cares? Mitzvahs don't need kavana. So as soon as you put it on, you're being yotz the mitzvah of tefillin. And mainly you can't wear a second pair. Why? Because you'd be over in Bal Tosef. Whereas Gamliel says no. Yes, mitzvahs need kavana, and therefore you can wear a second pair because as long as you're not mechavin, therefore you would not be over on Bal Tosef. So far, 3 ways to explain the machlokes between the Tanna Kama and Rabbi Gamliel. A fourth opinion, everyone holds right that you don't need kavana to do a mitzvah. You don't need a kavana, but to be over on Bal Tosef, it's possible you're over Bal Tosef, right? Therefore, you can't wear two. Since you can be over on Bal Tosef, but li kavana, you can't wear two. This is a little shver shita we'll have to explain in the Gemara. And the Gamliel says, no, you're not over Bal Tosef without kavana. And since he doesn't have kavana, he can wear two pairs. Finally, the last shita is mitzvah shaloi b'zmana. Shabbos is not the zman tefillin. Shabbos is not the time of tefillin. I feel that the question is, if even shaloi b'zmana, do you do a mitzvah? In other words, it may not be the best mitzvah, but it is a mitzvah. So this shita holds, yes, it's a mitzvah. And even though, yes, you'll be over Bal Tosef, even though it's not a mitzvah. Gemara is going to ask, so why can you sit in a sukkah on the 8th day? If you're not doing a mitzvah, you should be over Bal Tosef. This shita is a very shveri shita. It says that even if you're not doing the mitzvah to its best, but you are doing a mitzvah, because Shabbos is not the time of tefillin, yet you are doing a mitzvah to be over Bal Tosef, and the Gemara says you're not. So these are the 5 different ways to explain the Gemara that we're about to see. Let's see it inside on Tzadik Hey Amid Beis. Right, on Tzadik Hey Amid Beis, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 line, 9 lines from the bottom. Let us say, but the Rav Shmuel Bar Rav Yitzchak Mifli, the Tanna Kama has only one pair, and Rabbi Gamliel says 2 pairs. They're arguing in Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. Kama Lesta, Rav Shmuel, he does not hold Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. Rav Gamliel Lista, you know what? I'm going to keep the chart open so you can go ahead and refer to it. Tanakama does not hold of it, and Rav Gamliel does hold of it. Says the word loy. Kuliyalma Islu Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. Everyone holds Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. Everybody. V'hochad b'Shabbos man tefillin k'mifli. And Machlekes is where the Shabbos is man tefillin. The Tanakama Sava Shabbos man tefillin hu. Therefore, you yaitz the mitzvah. The reason you can wear a second pair, you'd be over Baal Taisif. And we also have a Shabbos lavs man tefillin hu. Viva Yisema, a third teretz. Kuliyama Shabbos is man tefillin hu. Everyone else holds Shabbos is this man tefillin. And Matzah Machlekes then v'hocha b'mitzvah strichas kavana k'miflagi, or the mitzvah strichas kavana. Tanakama Sava Lotzeis Bo. The Tanakama says ain't strichas kavana. Says the Tanakama you don't need kavana. You yaitzu with beli kavana. So too you can be over Baal Taisif beli kavana. We have a different gersa in Rashi, and the Rabbi Gamliel says yes that you need kavana, and there's no Baal Taisif unless you're mechavim. Again, Rashi 3 lines from the bottom nearly the gersa is going to change. You're going to be goyres Tanakama lotzis boy kavana. You can be goyres ain't strichas kavana. The bottom line of the Gemara Tanakama sava ain't lotzis boy ain't strichas kavana. Okay, and Rabbi Gamliel sava strichas kavana. That's the gersa change we're making. Amid Aleph, he boy Seima, the Kuliyalma, every Kuliyalma, let's say slay boy Kavana, you're talking only Kavana. The Hocha Lava Mishum Bal Taisif Kamifli. Tanakam Sava, Lava Mishum Bal Taisif, lay boy Kavana. To be over on Bal Taisif, you do not need Kavana. The Gamliel Sava, Lava Mishum Bal Taisif, boy Kavana. Therefore, what? You could wear 2 pairs. Finally, the final teretz is Viva Seima. The Shabbos man tefillah, the Kuliyam if you can hold the Shabbos as man tefillin, the Kuliyam loy lava by kavana, but lotzis by kavana. If everyone holds the Shabbos is the time of tefillin, everyone hold to be over on it. You need kavana, and to be yaitza by kavana. The question is, over Baal Taisif shlei bismana. Tanakama sava loy by kavana. To be over on Baal Taisif, you don't need kavana. So yes, you'll be over on Baal Taisif. You would need kavana. Let's see that first Rashi. First Rashi. Viboy Seima. Linyan latzis kuliyam lepligi. The chayvasay nafik. You will be yaitza. Afagav lo yichaven. Even if you are mechaven, you'll be yaitza the mitzvah. Well, linyan bal toisif pligi. Machlekes is by bal tosif. Tanakama kihechi de linyan mafik nafik. Just like you yaitza without kavana, linyan bal toisif nami over. Baal Taisif also over Kabbalah. Therefore, you can only bring in 1 pair because you don't want to be over on Baal Taisif. Or Gamliel, and therefore you won't be over on the mitzvah. You won't be over on Baal Taisif either. If everyone holds Shabbos is the time of tefillin, loy lavar loy lotzis ba kavana. To not be over not lotzis ba you need kavana. The ikar Baal Taisif, and therefore what loy lotzis ba kavana you don't need any kavana, and therefore you be over on Baal Taisif. What's the machlokes over here? Eli must hold Shabbos lavs man tefillin. Guys, last column. Shabbos is not this man tefillin. Mitzvah shaloi bizman. It's not this man tefillin. Tanakama sava shaloi bizmanoi. Not in the right time. Nami afilu b'loi kavana mitzvahi. It's a very funny thing, right? Shabbos not this man tefillin, but even without kavana, you'd be doing a mitzvah. You won't be doing it after a mitzvah. You're doing a mitzvah. We're going to get into today whether women, for example, if they do a mitzvah sesei shesman grama, whether they get mitzvahs or not. So it's similar, that would be a similar idea. I'm not mechuyev, it's not the right time, but if I do I get a mitzvah or not? So the Melech, Tanakama says yes, and therefore you be able to Baal Taisif, and therefore you're limited to 1 pair. First is Rabbi Gamliel who says no, you will not be yaitza. Since you're not be yaitza, there's no din of Baal Taisif. So those are the 5 different ways to go ahead and explain. So the Gemara comes to the conclusion, the following. Ihachi l'Rameya zug echad namiloi. If you hold that what? There's an inyan of what? About Toisif on Shabbos, then you should not be able to go ahead what? And even bring in 1 pair. In other words, if Shabbos is according to Rameya zug echad namiloi, you're being moisef. You're telling me, fellas, that Shabbos is lamed zman. It's not the right time. Good. So, but you wearing it a 7th day, you would be adding on to the mitzvah. In other words, until now, our Baal Taisif means you've been putting on 2 pairs. What about if you add a day? The mitzvah is only 6 days a week. Good. You want to tell me that if you put it on the seventh day, you'd be over about Taisif? 1 second. You should not be able even to put the first pair on. Why? Because by putting the first pair on, you're Baal Taisif on the 6 days. In other words, we've been discussing this. This is a second type of Baal Taisif. The first one is what? 2 separate pairs. This one is what? Is an extra day. So therefore, and the Tanakhama says you could wear one, but if Shabbos is Lav Zman and you're worried and you can't wear 2 because of Baal Taisif, then what? You can't even wear 1 because of Baal Taisif, because Shabbos is Lav Zman and you're already gone. So that's the V'oid. Hayashim Bishmini, someone who goes ahead and sleeps on the 8th day, B'sukkah, Yilko, should get Malchus. In other words, this is going to that shita that you do some kind of mitzvah. You're doing some kind of mitzvah by. So if you're telling me that there's some type of mitzvah, right, that you won't be able to put in 1 pair. In addition, how can a person in Al Safik in the Gullus spend the 8th day in the sukkah? He might be Moisef. Hayashan B'Shmini B'Sukkah Yilka. Oh, you have to say Mechavarta Kidushanina Meikara. It's correct, like we said. Rashi says Machloikas is whether Shabbos is Zman Tefillin or not. The Tanakhama holds Shabbos is Zman Tefillin. Therefore, you can't wear more than 1 pair because you're about Taisif. And Rabbi Gamliel holds Shabbos is Lav Zman Tefillin, and therefore you could wear 2 pairs. In other words, the second column, guys, this is the terrace. This is the conclusion. The second column, according to the Tanakhama, Zug Zug. Why? Because yes, Shabbos is Zman Tefillin. You are Yotzei Mitzvah. Second pair would be Baal Taisif. Gamliel says no. Shabbos is not Zman Tefillin, and therefore, if it's not Zman Tefillin, it's a Tachshit. And why 2 pairs? And why not 3? Because it has to be in the area that's Roy for Tefillin. And we all paskin like Shmuel ben Yitzchak that there's room for 2 pairs. There's not room for 3 pairs. Very geschmack machloikas as we embark on a very, very geschmack Gemara. Uman Shamet Law Shabbos Man Tefillin. Okay, now you're telling me that the Tanakhama holds Shabbos is Man Tefillin, right? Good. So now we're going on a quest to find who is the Tanakhama who holds that Shabbos is the Zman of Tefillin. So it says Gemara Rabbi Akiva. It's Rabbi Akiva, Tanya. It says Ushmarta es achuka hazois l'moyada miyamim yamima. You read it in the parsha of Tefillin, the 4 parshas. It says, and you should watch this chuka hazois l'moyada miyamim yamima. This appears after the whole union of Pesach, Korban Pesach, and the mitzvah of Tefillin. It says this pasuk. Now, what do we darshan? Miyamim yamima, yamim during the day, v'loy leilos. Miyamim, fellas, I always tell you, amen means miktsas, part of. Miyamim, v'loy kol yamim, part of the days, but not all the days. Prat l'shabbos v'yam tovim, divrei Rabbi Yosei Glili. So in other words, that this halacha of tefillin should be during the day and not night, and even during the day, not all days, or not all regular days, not Shabbos v'yam tiv. Clearly, Rabbi Yosei Glili holds that tefillin is what? Is a mitzvah essay shazman grama. Rabbi Kiva says, "Lo nemar chukazu ella le'inyan Pesach bilvad." It only says this law. This, in other words, this pasuk ushmatas achuka hazois is going on Pesach. It's not going on Tefillin. Okay, so now, if Rabbi Akiva is applying this for Tefillin, then he doesn't have a source like Rabbi Yosei Glili to say that Tefillin is a mitzvah shazman grama. So he must hold that Tefillin is not a mitzvah shazman grama. So he must be the Tana who holds you can only bring in 1 pair because the second pair would be Baal Taisif. In other words, here, Rabbi Yosei Glili clearly says it's going on Tefillin, and he's learning out that Tefillin is a mitzvah shazman grama. The implication is that Rabbi Akiva says it's going on Pesach and not on Tefillin. It must be hold, and he has no source therefore for Tefillin. It must be Tefillin. Must be like any mitzvah sashay. That it must be mitzvah sashay that shloyas man grama, and therefore a woman would be chayiv. Fred the Gemara, if you're telling me it's going only on Pesach, side point. Ha Pesach va'amila mitzvah sashay. We're going to learn Bez Hashem Yisbarach in a few years from now. A very difficult Masechta called Masechta Krisis, which told them to be well and be zeich to learn it. The first Mishnah lists 36 Krisos. Why do you get Karis for? Anything that you would get Karis for, you would bring a Chatas for. There are 2 exceptions. There are 2 mitzvahs essay that you get Karis for. Failure to have a bris performed on yourself, and failure to bring the Korban Pesach. If you do fail those 2 things, you do not bring a Korban Chatas. Why? Because it's a mitzvah essay. We're going to say now, late Rabbi Akiva, if the pasuk of V'shamartes achuka azos is going on Pesach, we can make Pesach into a lo saseh, and therefore you should have to bring a chatos if you inadvertently did not bring your korban Pesach. In other words, it's saying it's a mitzvah aseh. If Rabbi Akiva learns the pasuk V'shamartes achuka azos is going on Pesach, I can invert this mitzvah aseh to a lo saseh. How do I accomplish that? Watch. Lamed like Rabbi Akiva. The Rabbi Akiva, Akiva the mukila of Pesach, lav nami yika. It's not only a mitzvah essay Pesach, it's a lav. Kid Rav Ovin, using the rule of Rav Ovin. Rabbi Loi, Rabbi Ovin, Rabbi Loi, kol mokem shenemar. Anytime the Torah says the following Lashonos, Hishomer, Pen, Va'al, any one of those Lashonos, Hishomer, Pen, Va'al, appears many times in Shas. Einai ella beloy saseh. It's only beloy saseh. So therefore, guys, when the pasuk says "V'shamartes achuka azos," and you should watch this korban Pesach, "V'shamartes" lashon of hishomer, the shirish shin mem reish, it becomes a lav. Fred the Gemara, Rabbi Akiva, you should have to bring a chatos if inadvertently, but you do not bring a korban Pesach. Says what? Afilu Rabbi Akiva, hishomer de lav. When hishomer is in a pasuk of a lav, it's a lav. Hishomer dasei asei. The Shem Vasei Essay. In other words, that's not a kasha. The Shemartes Achukas is Mrs. Essay. When do we say the Shomer is the Lashon alav? It's in a pasuk that something you shouldn't do. It's something that you should do. Then what? Shomer, not to cut off a negative tzaras. Okay, so therefore it's a lav. The Shomer by korban Pesach. What is the Nasei? So it's not a kasha. So right now we're holding. Apparently we have a Tana, Rabbi Akiva, who holds that tefillin is the mitzvah essay, shaloi hazman grama. Fred the Gemara, B'sar Rabbi Akiva Shabbos man tefillin who? Does Rabbi Akiva hold that Shabbos you wear tefillin? For Tanya, Rabbi Akiva Omer, Yachol yiniach adam tefillin b'Shabbos yom tovim. I might think a person could go ahead and put on tefillin on Shabbos and Yontiv, Talmud Lema. It says what? By tefillin, it should be an ice on your hand. And what do we darshan? When do you wear tefillin? When you need an ice. Yatsu Elu, Yatsu Shabbos, and Gufan ice, which itself is an ice. So L'chaira, you don't want to, excuse the pun, over ice on Shabbos, right? You're going to go ahead. And therefore, says Rabbi Akiva clearly that you don't wear tefillin on Shabbos. Not because of the pasuk, B'Shemat Esachuka, but from the pasuk, what? And Shabbos is an ice, so it doesn't need an ice. Elo, why do you have to say, therefore, guys, we don't have a Tana. So right now, here's what we have. We know there's a Tana who clearly holds that Shabbos is man tefillin, zug. That's why you can only wear one. It's this Tana who we concluded the halacha is in accordance of the machlokes is in accordance with. Good. We thought as Rabbi Akiva, because Rabbi Akiva did not have the pasuk that Rabbi Yosef Glili used. Rabbi Akiva used for Pesach. But 1 second, we have another pasuk that Rabbi Akiva says clearly that Shabbos is not man tefillin. Why? Because since Shabbos is an os and tefillin is an os, you need tefillin during the week when you don't have an os. But when Shabbos itself is an os, you don't need tefillin. So now, Ryan, we're at a dead end. Who is the Tana who holds that Shabbos is the Zman of tefillin? And clearly there is one. It's the Tana Kamra of Mishnah and Eruvin. Right? That's how the gate. Ella Haitanu says the Gemara. It's the following Tana. The Tanya. Hanir B'Laila. Someone's up at night. Ratz Chaylitz. If he wants, he can take off his tefillin. Ratz Miniyah. If he wants, he can wear his tefillin. Divrei Reb Nosson. That's Reb Nosson. Yonasin Hakituni Yomer. Ein Miniyah tefillin B'Laila. You don't wear tefillin at night. Now, with the Laila of Tanakama, when the Laila, according to Reb Nosson, is Zman tefillin, Shabbos Nami is Zman tefillin. So let's go ahead and assume that again, if just like there's a mitzvah to wear tefillin at night, so too there's a mitzvah to wear tefillin on Shabbos. So that Tanakama of our Mishnah here in Eruvin would be Reb Nosson. Again, we're saying l'chayr, it's one with Hava Hatalia, that one or the other. If you're chayiv at night, you're chayiv on Shabbos. Good. It says when Dilma Sfilei Laila is man tefillin, Shabbos less man tefillin. Why? Why are you locked into saying that Hava Hatalia, that one is dependent on the other? Maybe they're independent, not interdependent. Maybe they're independent. I can hold this mitzvah to wear tefillin at night, yet I can hold this no mitzvah to wear tefillin during what? During the. Says the Gemara, Dilma Sfirle Lila's man tefillin. Who? Maybe Taka holds Lila's man tefillin. Of course, maybe you need a nos. And Shabbos loves man tefillin. Who? The Hashamina Leila Rabbi Kiva Damar, Laila's man tefillin, Shabbos last man tefillin. In other words, Rabbi Kiva makes the distinction that nighttime is and Shabbos is not. So maybe Reb Nassim goes ahead and says the same thing, that Laila is not Taka, Laila is Zman Tefillin, but Shabbos is not Zman Tefillin. So right now we're stuck. We don't have a Tana who holds Shabbos is Zman Tefillin. Who is the Tana in the Mishnah in Eruvin? Elohai Tana. And continuing on our quest, it's the following Tana. The Tanya. Michal Bas Kushi, Rashi says Kushi was Shol. The Gemara in Shabbos says that the Voira was a Kushis, just like a Kushis is black. She was is Yitzim and Aklal Sotu in the beauty. Shol is called Kushi because Shol was beautiful. He was the handsomest person, and therefore what the Gemara in Bracha says, the girls were talking to her, they wanted to look at her, him, they were looking at him, so therefore he was called Kushi. So Shol is Michal Bas Shol, she would tefillin, and Haisa Menechas tefillin, Michal Ba Chachamim. And the Chachamim did not go ahead and be moicha. They didn't stop her. They didn't stop her going to tefillin. The Ishtel Shal Yoina, and the wife of Yoina ben Amitai, the famous of Yom Kippur fame of Yoina, who was swallowed by the whale. Oil regel, even though there's no mitzvah, she would be oil regel. Now, with Leimicha ba Chachamim, Alma Kasave, mitzvahs essay, Shaloyas Man Gramahi. It must be when they let him wear that what? It's a mitzvahs essay. Hazman Grama. It must be they hold it's a mitzvah. A great kasha would be if the Gemara wants to prove that Michal's not an anomaly and that women are mechuyev. So how come all women don't wear tefillin? Right? You're telling me you want to say that look that when she wore it, so therefore it must be that it's again if women are part of the Chobet says esewat shazman grama. So if tefillin is a mitzvah essay shazman grama, yeah, right, then the chachamim should have been meicha and stopped her. But when they didn't stop her, it's a raya. There is a mitzvah, so it must be. It's not totally in time. Therefore, Shabbos is time, so it must be the chayav on Shabbos too. So the Tana of this Mishnah who says Michal Bal Shol put on tefillin, that will be the Tana of our Mishnah here in Eruvin. That's pashtus what the Gemara is saying. But the Velt's kasha is, if that's the case, that it's a mitzvah essay shaloyas man grama, right? So Michal Bal Shol was just indicative of everyone. And Satan's, why weren't the chachamim Michal b'yadam? Why didn't they stop her? So the Sefer Goin Yaakov suggests that, in fact, the Shulchan Aruch brings down that women are not able to be nizer in guf naki. Mishnah Berurah in Siman Lamed Ches, Sif Yud Gimel, Munachim b'yadam mifnei shetzrichim guf naki. V'nashim ein zrisus li zoyer. They're not able to be zoyer. They're not able to go ahead and be careful. In fact, since we're here, I'll read you the Shulchan Aruch. Lamed Ches Gimel. Noshim v'avodim petur mitfilin mifnei shehu mitzvahs essay shazman grama. It is the mitzvah essay shazman grama. In other words, that Michal Bas Shol put on, guys. Michal Bas Shol was the anomaly. That's what the Gemara is pointing out. V'lo Michal b'yadam is maybe it's a reshus, as we'll see. So it's a reshus, so they didn't stop her. It's a reshus. They didn't stop her. Says the Ramah. If women want to be machmir on themselves to put on tefillin, moichim biyadam, we stop them. This is a very interesting, for the women of the world, for all the feminists out there. We know there are mitzvahs essay shazman grama clearly that women perform. Women they go ahead and they bench lulav. Women go ahead and they go to tkiyas, and no one stops them. So why is tefillin different? If no, they're all mitzvahs essay shazman grama. Why is it different? So that's what the Mishnah Berurah is coming to tell us in the Ramah. Since you need a guf naki and a woman can't be naki, women are nidais. They're certain, that's probably what they mean. They can't be nizer in this. Mashen came to kiyas and lulav, which I guess you don't need guf naki for, or you do, but you're going to be yaitz the mitzvah in a second because you're not wearing it all the time, correct? Therefore, a woman can do it. So that's the distinction. There's a big Torah over here, Machlokes Rabbeinu Tam, and making a bracha. If you look at the last places on the page, Mikanam Rabbeinu Tam, the first line, the mutal nashim levarach al kol mitzvah sesei shazman grama. Women can go ahead and make a bracha on every mitzvah sesei shazman grama. Afa gav de pturos, kama micha bashol, shoy mistama gam mevareches. Mistama what they would go ahead and probably she made a bracha. Whereas we want to bring a raya from here, when your wife benches lulav, does she make a bracha? So this is the shita of Rabbeinu Tam, right? Where do you have right to make a bracha? She's parted from the mitzvah. So there's the Torah here is for mitzvah that a woman who does something bereshus, not be mitzvah, bereshus, machlokes the Rabbeinu Tam, the Rambam says a woman does not make a bracha. Does not make a bracha. So it's very geschmack. In other words, can women do a mitzvah essay shazman grama? Yes, they can. They can. Do they make a bracha according to Rabbeinu Tam? Yes, they could. Examples of it would be sitting in a sukkah. Women go to hit kiyas throughout generations. Women go ahead and they bench lulav, right? Throughout generation, that's what has been. Throughout generation, that's what has been. What about tefillin? What about tefillin? If it's a mitzvah essay, shazman grama, why is it different than lulav and shofar? So here we have the Mishnah Brura bringing down from the I don't know who brings it down from. Really, the Tosfos says it here as well. That since they can't be gufnaki, they can't be zayir, and therefore they don't do it. That would be a basic, very basic idea of this sukkah. Okay. Meanwhile, we found a person. Apparently, we found a person who holds that mitzvah esei shazman gram, that tefillin is a mitzvah esei shazman gram, not shloy hazman grama, because the chachamim were moicha biyadam by Michal Bashal, and therefore, why did she put it on? Because it must be that it's a mitzvah essay all the time, even on Shabbos. So apparently we have a Mandiyama who is the first Tana in the Mishnah in Eruvin. So that's it. Now, Chachamim, Alma, we see 2 lines from the bottom, Kasavi, mitzvah essay shleas man grama. We see a mitzvah essay shleas man grama. Fred the Gemara, the Dilma Savala Amid Beis. Where the women have to do smicha or not by a carbon. When a person makes a carbon, they put their hands down, they press down between the head of the carbon. Women is not mechuyev do smicha, but if they do, it's rishus. So maybe Michal wasn't a mitzvah; it was just rishus, just like tkiyas, and just like tefillin, just like and lulav. It's a rishus, maybe not a mitzvah, so you don't have a raya. The Eloy Hachi, if you don't say that, everyone clearly holds that the oil regel is only for Scharim and not females. Only Scharim, not females. And nonetheless, they were a moicha. So you brought in the Brisa 2 examples of 2 women performing mitzvahs. Michal and Tfilin, the wife of Yonah, Le'inyan oil regel. Just like Le'inyan oil regel, clearly it was Rishus. Maybe over here also clearly it was Rishus. So you have no raya that Shabbos is what Zman Tefillah from Michal. That Michal pull on Tefillin is Rishus. In fact, the halacha will reflect that. The Mechaber brought down that women are potter. Women are potter. It's not a mitzvah on grama. Michal, she was the anomaly. She was the anomaly, just as the wife of Yoina was the anomaly. She was the anomaly. Ella, you have to say what? Sava Rishus. Just like over there, the wife of Yoina was a Rishus being a regel. Hachanami here too as well. Rishus by Michal's Rishus. So right now we're stuck. We don't have a mandam who holds that Shabbos is the Siman Tefillin to allow me to not bring in 2. And clearly, mandam holds 1. The assumption is, as the final teretz we began share with, is the reason why 1 is because Shabbos is Siman Tefillin and 2 would be Bal Tosef. Ela Haitanahu, the Tanya. Hamoitzi Tefillin, someone finds Tefillin, Machnisim Zug Zug. One at a time, one period at a time. Echad Ish, whether it's a man bringing it in, Ve'echad Isha, whether it's a woman bringing it in. That's the key, guys. Whether it's a woman. Echad Chadashos, whether you don't know if it's a Kameo or not. In other words, maybe we spoke at yesterday, you can't tell from the Ksharim whether it was a Kameo and or a pure Tefillin. Ve'echad Yishanis, we know clearly from the Ksharim, from the knot, that it is Tefillin. Divrei Reb Meir. He says, no, if it's a Kamea, you don't know, we're going to be Machmir and say you can't bring it in. However, if we know for sure it's tefillin, because of the kesher, we will. Ad kan pligi the machlekes Rameya and Rabbi Yehuda the chadashos v'yishanos, whether you know it's a kameya or not. Aval be'isha loy pligi. By be'isha, clearly they both hold women on Shabbos can wear it in. Why is that? Shmami no, it's a sesei shleis man gromahu. Shmami no, it's a mitzvah sesei shleis man gromahu. The whole mitzvah sesei shleis man groma lashem chayavos. So very good. We found not only one Tana, we found two. We found two. Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda. Says Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda, if you're in a field and you find tefillin, you're able to wear them in zug zug, whether it's a man, and clearly even if it's a woman. Why could a woman wear it? If it's not a mitzvah for her, it's considered it's a masli, right? There's different garments and different jewelry and different things that man can wear and woman can wear. If a woman is not mechuyev in tefillin, it clearly would be a masli, not a shit, right? So Ella, when you let her wear it, clearly you must hold that it's a mitzvah, and therefore she can wear it. So we have a raya from Yehuda and Rameya to that they hold that in fact tefillin is Shabbos is man tefillin, and therefore woman would be what? Woman would be chay. Woman would be chay. Now that's final, guys. That's final. The Gemara is going to try to slug it up, but that is the final opinion. Let's see the slug up attempt. It says Dilma Savala Reb Yosi. Maybe they hold like Reb Yosi, the Omar Noshim Simchos Rishus. In other words, women, it's not a mitzvah, but it's Rishus, like Michal. It says to say that. Why? I'm going to prove that both Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda did not hold like Reb Yosi. Again, Reb Yosi is of the opinion a woman does smicha because of Rishus, so maybe that we let women wear them because of Rishus, but in Nachinami there is no mitzvah. Lo Reb Meir savlak Reb Yosi did not. Ein ma'akvenes atinoikas milat koya. If a tinoikas wants to blow, al schinuch, Bezdin is not muzzah to go ahead on Yontif for Rosh Hashanah to go ahead and stop them. Hanashim, but women, ma'akvin, we would stop. We would stop them. In other words, even though it's a chachma to blow, we go ahead and stop them because there's no mitzvah for them to blow, right? So you see, guys, there's no mitzvah for them to blow. The stamas nisan Reb Meir, and stama mishnah is Reb Meir. Now, according to Reb Yosi, l'chayre it would be a rishus for a woman to blow. Yes. So we see that Reb Meir does not hold by blowing a shofar, right? He says that what? You would stop them. You would stop them. So if he held, guys, if you held that tefillin's a rishus, you would have stopped that as well. Madoch shayfa, which is a chachma, Reb Meir holds, you would stop a woman from blowing on Yontif. Certainly on Shabbos, if tefillin was only a rishus, you would stop. Ella, you see that what? When Reb Meir does not stop, clearly doesn't hold its rishus, he holds it's a mitzvah. Clearly holds it's a mitzvah. Again, one more time. We see Reb Meir b'makam chachma by kiyas, which clearly we know is not what a mitzvah says shaloyas man grama. It's a mitzvah says man grama. Only Rosh Hashanah. If women want to blow on yet, we stop them. We stop them. So if Shabbos was rishus, we'd also stop them. Ella, when you let them wear it from the field as a raya, that's a mitzvah. So therefore, we have a raya that Rameya disagrees with Yosi. It's not a rishus. It is a mitzvah, and he's the Tana of our Mishnah here in Eruvin that allows you to wear one pair in. Second, we had a second Tana. The second Tana was Rabbi Yehuda. But Rabbi Yehuda savalok Rabbi Yosi. Okay, look, the Tanya, Dabel b'nei Yisrael, the Samach. Speak to b'nei Yisrael, and the Samach they should go ahead and do smicha. The Samach Yadei b'nei Yisrael. Now, b'nei Yisrael, it says Dabel b'nei Yisrael soimchin. Only males do smicha. Vein b'nei Yisrael soimchas, and b'nei Yisrael do not do smicha. On this is where we have it to cheat as Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon, Aimim Nashim soimchas rishus. Now the Tanakama clearly disagrees. Correct, guys? The Tanakama clearly disagrees. He says when Rabbi Yosi says women do smicha rishus, the Tanakama says women don't do smicha rishus. So that Tana argues with Rabbi Yosi. Who is that Tana? It's the Tana of Sifra. Sifra are the brises, the collection of brises on Teres Kahanim, on Vayikra. The Stam Sifra money is Rabbi Yehuda. Stam Sifra is Rabbi Yehuda. So what do you see? What do you see from here? That Rabbi Yehuda argues on Rabbi Yosi. So we conclude today's shir with the fact that what? The Tana of the Mishnah, going back over here, finding the Tana of our Mishnah over here, who held that you can only wear one pair because it's Shabbos is a mitzvah as mangrama, is shloyas mangrama, is the Heilige Tana Rameya and the Heilige Tana Rabbi Yehuda. So I wish you all good Shabbos. As Hashem will see you tomorrow night at
7.